Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line. My name is Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Marcie.
Hello.
We've got okay, I didn't think this up. Okay, when we left where we left off on Thursday's episode, didn't think this one was going to be a massive deal.
And
then Morgan Rielly decided to cross-check Ridley Grigg after he took a slap shot in the empty net. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that whole situation, but I don't want that to... I still do want to talk about the game against the Ottawa Senators, because I feel like that we can learn a lot from that game, and we can take a lot away from it in terms of where the Leafs are right now with their season. And then I think we have some other fun stuff to chat about as well. But Jones got the start against the Leafs and Sens, which was a choice. Like, I get why Keefe did it, because you're looking at the Ottawa Senators and you're like, okay, they're 28th in the league. You have played Ilya Samsonov for 6 games in a row. Yeah. And why don't you put in your second stringer to give him a break before then you go and you play a stretch that includes St. Louis twice, Philadelphia, and Anaheim. Right? Yes. Philadelphia is going to be a big team, and you want to at least give Samsonov some time off before you face him in less than a week. Face Philadelphia in less than a week. Because, surprisingly, John Tortorella's Philadelphia Flyers aren't half bad. They're actually pretty good this year.
Yes.
There's a surprise.
I don't want to sound negative, but we're so screwed.
We're so screwed. No, but that's the thing where it's like John Tortorella, like the Philadelphia Flyers have accomplished in less time what the Ottawa Senators have been trying to do since 2017.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm just not looking forward to it.
So, yeah. I think Martin Jones played okay. There was definitely some situations where you would have hoped he would have provided you with more. But he gave the Leafs a chance to win. The Leafs did not help themselves in this game, for sure. Definitely, I would say probably the big one and the most obvious one. My 2 main points of the game was the sheer amount of stupid turnovers the Leafs were making. I was ready to blow an aneurysm in the 300s level of the Canadian Tire Center.
I don't blame you.
And then also as well, just they were slow to take shots. I'm usually not one to sit and yell, take the shot or shoot. I'm not that person when it comes to watching hockey. But this, I felt bad for the people sitting next to me, because I was just yelling, shoot. I was like, any time Max Domi had possession of the puck, essentially.
It was just, like,
him and Mitch Marner are the worst for it.
Yeah, it's like, there's being clever and, like, sneaky with it, and then there's just delaying, not taking a shot.
And then, oh, look, turnover. Oh, look, it's the Senators back the other way. Oh, look, a goal attempt. Whoa. Right?
Absolute
but it was like
shocking. Who'd have thought?
It was a thing where I was describing it to Simon, because that's who I went to the game with him, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like saying, like, Max Domi is just essentially Mitch Marner if he shot way less, was worse, and also wasn't afraid to fight.
Yeah. I don't like how.
And that's why we have him for $3 million.
Oh.
Right? Is that what he signed for? Is $3 million? And then, or is he 5? And then I know he's $2 million less than Bertuzzi, and I can't remember if Bertuzzi is 5 or 7.
3. Domi's 3.
I knew it. I'm so good.
Look at you.
I'm so good at this game.
Who needs the internet when we've got you, eh?
But yeah, exactly. And then of course always like Max Domi, yes, he did score technically twice. He did his first goal got called back for offside because Noah Gregor was offside. And the thing is Max Domi, like I don't know if that would have gotten called back, or at least it would, or I don't know if it would have gotten looked at as quickly because it was a coach's challenge. And I don't know if that would have gotten looked at as quickly if Max Domi didn't have, like, in the celebration, he knew it was offside.
Like,
right?
You
gotta work on the you gotta sell it. Half of it is selling the goal, because I'm sure maybe they would have caught it. I don't know how good the Ottawa Senators like video coaches are. Maybe they would have caught it. Maybe they wouldn't have caught it. But like, if you're gonna come up and you're not gonna, like, for Max Domi, especially because then you saw how he celebrated his like the one he actually scored.
Yeah,
it's like, buddy, you gotta sell it at least to the point where they're like, was that offside? Not, oh, he didn't celebrate like he usually does. Call the offside, especially because the Ottawa Senators too, like, they know Max Domi because Max Domi played for Montreal for a couple of seasons as well, right? So they know him as an opponent.
It's like you don't score a goal that you know is offside and then essentially turn around, look directly at Ottawa's head coach and just go, oops.
Exactly.
Like, you don't make direct eye contact and go, that was offside.
Yeah. So also as well, we didn't talk about it last episode because it happened after we finished recording, obviously, because it happened Friday. Max Lajoie was called up for that because then it was announced on Saturday that Leafs would play without Giordano due to injury and lower body injury, and then Connor Timmins due to illness. He's still Connor Timmins is still out with illness. Mark Giordano was at practice. We're going to talk about today's practice a little bit more. So that means Lagesson is in for his first game since the last time the Leafs played the Ottawa Senators. And he played okay. He wasn't the worst defenseman on the ice.
He wasn't. I had absolutely nothing bad to say.
He had a couple of mistakes, but like at the same time, you also have to think about the fact that this guy hasn't played since the month of December.
Yeah, like he's really been warming up those seats in the press box.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so Max Lajoie called up from the Marlies just to make sure that, you know, Leafs would have enough D-men. I guess maybe to call to give the extra reassurance, because the Leafs at this point right now, as the roster stands, is carrying 9 defensemen. Right? Which is 3 more than they need to feel to fill a lineup. So I don't know if I still don't know like what was the purpose. I guess for extra reassurance, but I don't know if there maybe was a third defenseman who was questionable going into last night or not. Like not last night, into Saturday, because it's Monday today, but into Monday night or like into Saturday night or not. I don't know. Because maybe Sheldon Keefe just felt more comfortable having Max Lajoie there.
Yeah.
Just in case. In case of emergency, break glass sort of thing. Because I don't know, maybe that's just me who's like, I don't care if like I'll do what, like if you know, I won't call him up because we have Lagesson who can play, but I guess maybe you just want one extra guy just in case.
Yeah. Keith's a lot like me in that sense. I don't like the possibility that something could go wrong and I don't have a plan for it.
True, yeah. Also as well, but like just for reference, in order to make the room in the cap for Max Lajoie's contract, which is close to league, I think it is actually league min or close to, they had to place Joseph Woll on LTIR retroactively to December 8th, which is the day after he got hurt, which the fact that it's retroactively to December 8th is important because that means because they did it retroactively, it means that his 10 games or 10 days, whatever it is that you have to be on LTIR for in order to get reactivated have already passed because it's been well over 10 games or 10 days. I can't remember which one it is.
It's been
well over that period of time for the Leafs since Joseph Woll has been hurt.
And we would know.
We would know because I've been at both games.
And I remember I sent you a 50-day countdown. I was like, it's 50 days until the 19th of February. It's been a while.
Now we're at a week. Away.
Oh
but yeah, so for those who are panicking, who those are saying, oh, he's not going to be back until March. Oh no, because he's been retroactively added to LTIR. He can get called back at any time. The Leafs just have to make the cap room for his very small contract. But yeah, so Leafs eventually lost the game 5-3 to the Ottawa Senators.
Shocker.
But then with 5 seconds left of the game, it was 4-3. Leafs were trying to tie it up, hold Martin Jones to get the extra attacker, and Ottawa Senator forward Ridley Greig takes a shot at the empty net. It is a slap shot, and in retaliation, Morgan Rielly, cross-check, who's the closest Leaf to Greig when he takes the slap shot at the empty net, cross-checks Greig. And now, this is where it is. People say the thing is if you look at the video, and I saw it live happening in front of me. It didn't look like, because it rode up, like his stick, he wasn't aiming for head contact. Because of the situation, it looked like it rode up on him. Now, mind you, I was also sitting way up in the 300s, but I was sitting on that end of the ice. I was sitting way up in the 300s, so I was in the nosebleeds, but still see. It didn't look like head contact at first. Then I'm sitting in the car waiting to get out of the Canadian Tire Center parking lot, because that's always a mission and a half. And I'm watching the replays and I'm like, okay, there's the head contact, because they only showed the replay of the cross check once in the arena, and then they didn't show it again. I'm sure probably on the broadcast, you guys saw it about 70,000 times, about 3 different angles and in slow-mo.
Yeah, spot on. In the order.
I didn't get that luxury, right? Because maybe they showed it twice, but I only really saw it once on the big screen. And then they didn't show it again. And then, because then play continued, because there was still 5 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
Now, Morgan Rielly has been offered an in-person hearing that will take place tomorrow. Note, the Leafs do play tomorrow, meaning that his suspension can be more than 5 games. I also, now this is where I sound like a broken record, and where I say that a hockey fan, sports fans in general, people on the internet, need to remember that multiple things can be true at once.
Yep.
And this is a situation that requires, I don't know if nuance is the right way to go about it, but critical thinking. I need you to remove team biases for a second. Remove team biases and think about this objectively, as in, should Ridley Greig have taken a slap shot at an empty net with 5 seconds left of a game that he was most definitely going to win, because it was 5 seconds left, the score was 4-3, and he had a wide open net with no goalie in it, and he was 5 feet away from the net? Should he have taken a slap shot? No. Because it makes you look like an asshole. And at the end of the day, sure, okay, maybe there are people who are fans out there who are fans of your team who like the asshole players. Sure. I'm sure there's some Ottawa Senators fans like that. They have Brady Tkachuk. Yeah, you like the assholes. But you also have to think about the fact that there's fans of 31 other teams in the National Hockey League who probably don't like the asshole players. right? Who are going to take offense. There's also, players on the ice who are going to take offense to you being an asshole.
Yeah.
Then Morgan Rielly, right? Mr. who, like, 2 weeks ago, we were like, engrave his name on the Lady Bing already, right? That's what we were saying. He was like Lady Bing front runner. He didn't have a penalty until over halfway through the season, right? Like, he played almost 1,000 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was 9 minutes off.
He was something ridiculously close to hitting 1,000 minutes without a penalty this season. But I'm just saying, because, like, people are characterizing Morgan Rielly as a goon, and I was like, okay, yeah. Noted NHL goon, Morgan Rielly. That's the thing where I'm like, that's where you've lost me. It's like, if you're like, there's people on Twitter who are acting as if Morgan Rielly committed murder at center ice in front of Erik Karlsson and God. Like,
I feel like the amount of people I've seen, like, being like fucking send him to prison, and I'm like, he did not drag your nan to center ice and shoot her. Okay, she's still back home sitting in an armchair. She's fine. She's still kicking. He didn't kill anyone.
But yes. So should Rielly have taken that slap shot at an empty net? No, because in that was a situation where even I could have scored that goal. Right? It wasn't like something where it was like the situation warranted for it. He's halfway down the ice. He took a slap shot to try and, like, get it into the net at the other end. No. He's 5 feet away from the net. He takes 2 more strides and he can essentially just walk it in itself.
Yeah.
Right? No, he shouldn't have taken a slap shot at the empty net, because that is something where it's like, you have guys who are multiple year veterans of the league who are saying, I've never seen that before in my entire life. Right?
Yeah.
You have former players on Twitter who are saying, I've never seen that before in my entire life. That was distasteful. Should Morgan Rielly have then, in retaliation, cross-checked Ridley Greig high? I will say, like, I know he probably didn't intend for head contact. I'm giving Morgan Rielly the benefit of the doubt, mostly because it's Morgan Rielly and he has a reputation in this league, which isn't being a goon. Before, there's the people on Twitter who are like, yeah, his reputation of being evil. I was like, sure. Morgan Rielly is the furthest thing from an evil player, a dirty player, right? But yes, I will say, like, a cross-check a little bit high. I'm sure he was probably aiming for the shoulders. Should he have then cross-checked Greig in retaliation? No. He shouldn't have. He should have tried to keep his emotions in check. Now, I understand, like, it was a very heated game. I think definitely the refs didn't help that situation. There wasn't a penalty called until the second period, I believe.
Yeah,
right? It was Benoit. It was second period on Benoit, right? Yeah.
Benny in the box.
And then also, as well, there was another missed high stick for, like, the second game in a row on Jake McCabe that literally 30 seconds later, Sen scored on. Right? So, like, the emotions it's a battle of Ontario as well. Like, emotions are going to be running high.
Be an intense game.
Leafs have lost the last 2 games in this. Well, not last 2. Have lost 2 games in this series already. Like, they want to try and win this game to tie it up. Like, yeah, the frustrations are there. I see there's a lot of people who probably know more about the nuance about hockey on ice culture than I do, who are saying Morgan Rielly, he wants to get mad, should have dropped the gloves and fought him, which, yeah, I think we'd be having a very different conversation if he did that instead of cross-checking, right? Because at least when you drop the gloves and you go after someone, it's a little bit more less defenseless.
Yeah, and it's
attacking a guy.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, you did something. I'm also putting myself at risk by fighting you, right? Like, we've seen guys get hurt fighting. But yeah, not to excuse Morgan Rielly's actions, because really he shouldn't have done that at the end of the day, but I also think Morgan Rielly is not a dirty player. I was seeing people call him a dirty player. I was like, have you ever watched Morgan Rielly play hockey a day in your life?
Yeah. It's like, come on.
Also as well, if you are, I'm going to say this, I tweeted this out, but I'm going to say it again on the podcast. If you are a member of the media, if you are a reporter, if you are a so-called hockey analyst, if you're a former player, if you're anyone who has you feel like you have any sense of authority to comment on this topic, and you misspell Morgan Rielly's name, I'm automatically, whether I would agree with you or not, I'm going to ignore your opinion, because the thing you could have done is you could have made sure that you spelt it correctly. And it's not a thing of like, oh, autocorrect on my phone. Autocorrect doesn't do that if you capitalize the first letter of his name.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not hard.
It's not hard. He's only been playing in the league for 10 years.
Yeah. So
he's only been an all-star 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, you know, people might have only just started to hear about him. He's new. He's new around here.
He literally was an all-star this year. Like, come on.
It's not hard.
It's not hard. And it's like a thing where it's like, it's not just been like people, like, I get it if you're like not a fan of the Leafs and you're a fan and you're like, okay, whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever. But if you're a member of the media, like I've seen multiple reporters in their tweet in which they link an article that they've written have misspelled Morgan Rielly's last name, automatically, I don't even want to read your article. I don't even want to hear what you have to say, because I'm going to think you're wrong. Yeah. No matter, I'm going to be like, no, I don't trust your opinion on the subject, because you can't spell a player's name right.
And it's like, it's literally your job.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing where it's like, if it's a fan, I can excuse it because I'm like, it's not really your job to follow hockey. If you're a reporter, a member of a media, whatever, it's your job to follow the sport. The least you could do is make sure you're spelling the players' names right.
Yeah, like, it's not a difficult thing to do.
I'm like so worried that I'm going to misspell a player's name, to the point where if I'm typing out Draisaitl, I still Google it first to make sure I'm spelling it right. I'm like, it's Leon Draisaitl, right? Face of, like, one of the faces of the league, you know, Connor McDavid's right-hand man, actually, right? Like, they don't play on a line together, do they? No, they don't. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's Leon Draisaitl. I still double check to make sure I'm spelling his name right if I'm going to tweet about him.
No, like the other week, I remember I must have been quite tired when I was typing this, but I had to stop and Google Cale Makar because I'd spelt it right, and then I was like, shit, is it with a K? And I was like, no, it's with a C. So I need to go on Google. I was like double checking how to spell Cale Makar.
Well, you know what I did? Today I was sending Marcie a DM and I had to look up Travis Konechny. I had to Google Travis Konechny and be like, okay, gotta make sure I'm spelling his name right.
The Travis part.
That was the last. I was like, is there a K in here? So is there another K in here? That's what I was doing. But like, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, they wear their names on the back of the jerseys. Yeah. It's right there.
It's like, I can guarantee when they're writing that tweet, they're
looking at a video
of his name in front of them.
On the back of his jersey. Or they have, because I know too as well, at least members of the media, they will get, like, when they go to a game, will get media packets from the team that'll have information on every player on the ice.
Yeah.
Like, teams' media relations, like, departments will put those together and then we'll give them to people who sit in the press box. Or you could just Google it if you're not sure. If you're like, is it I before E or is it E before I? Let me do a quick little Google. Oh, it's I before E.
literally, like, if we have the brain cells to Google a player's name if we're not entirely sure if we spelled it right, people whose job it is to write about these players can surely do the same.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I have issue with, and because I know it's not just Morgan Rielly that this happens to, and it's like one of those things where it's like it's just journalism ethics, not ethics really, but it's just good journalism at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like people are going to trust you more as a journalism if you don't make mistakes in your writing when it comes to spelling and grammatical errors. So if you don't make spelling and grammatical errors of players' names, people are more likely to trust what you have to say about hockey. But yeah, so like I said, because Morgan Rielly is offered an in-person hearing, which by the way, that also was announced like just before Super Bowl kickoff, because of course, right? So in person, so this is the second time that an in-person hearing has been offered this season. The first time it happened, it was the Detroit Red Wings, and it was when Perron cross-checked Artem Zub in the face, if we all remember that game. Again, it's another situation where I can't remember. I know one of the players involved was Matthew Joseph. I can't remember the other one though. Who would have been on that line? It wasn't Hammock. Anyways, I just remember one of them is Joseph. I can't remember who the other one is off the top of my head without looking back at the video. I should have looked back at the video before this, but makes head contact with Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin is down on the ice, and of course, David Perron sees his captain, Dylan Larkin, down on the ice, who has a history of neck injuries, right? And he goes and he cross-checks the first guy in a Sens sweater that he sees, which is the innocent Artem Zub. Gets a stick to the face. Right? Like, Artem Zub was not involved in it, didn't do anything. And, David Perron just cross-check him in the face. And that's one of those things where it's like, I don't think it was like fully Matthew Joseph. It was definitely like it was because it was two guys, and it was like,
it was like
Larkin was getting caught in between, and it was awkward, right? Should that have happened? No. Should David Perron have then cross-checked the first Sens player that he sees before making sure that it was the right guy, and very much going towards the face? Also no. Hence why he got 6 games, right? Do I think 6 games maybe is a little bit extreme, especially when earlier this season we saw Jacob Trouba get a fine for essentially taking a baseball swing at a guy's head like it was a ball on a tee?
Yeah.
No. Do I think that part of the problem and why this has blown up crazy out of proportion, where you have everyone chiming in on this, is because the lack of consistency within the Department of Player Safety? Yes. Do I think also part of it is that it was a Saturday night Hockey Night in Canada matchup, so it was a national broadcast. It was Battle of Ontario, and it was the Leafs, meaning it was the Leafs. Do I think that's also the reason why this has gotten crazy big? Yes.
Yeah.
And also as well, there was a couple quotes again that were said post game on Saturday, and then also today at the Leafs practice at their media availability, that we're going to get into as well. We're going to spend a lot of time on this just because it's the biggest story of the weekend as well. That's the thing, unfortunately. We're going to spend a lot of time talking on this. But the thing I do want to say, it's also as well, you have to think, if Morgan Rielly didn't do anything, if Greg took the slap shot at the net and no Leaf did anything to retaliate, we would have Leaf fans everywhere calling the Leafs soft, calling them pushovers, saying they should have done something, getting mad at them for not doing anything, right? So it's that's the thing where it's Morgan Rielly, yes, he did something. Was it maybe the best thing he could have done? No.
But it was still something.
It was still something, because that's the thing where it was he probably also as well, as much as hockey players say being I don't read the media, I don't see anything about me, whatever, they do still. And he probably, you know what I mean? He's probably sick of having this team being called soft. And I'm sure, like, that's the thing is also is you have to think about the fact of, like, if Morgan Rielly is getting mad,
it's not good.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. It's not good. We do have a couple quotes we do have to read over from a couple of guys. Sorry, I'm just on the map. I didn't have it where we send all of our tweets open. We do have a couple of quotes. The first one is the one from Saturday night. It was said by Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah.
Here we go. Sheldon Keefe on Morgan Rielly's reaction to Greg's slap shot at the end of the game. I thought it was appropriate, which is an interesting thing to say for the head coach.
Yeah.
I also then again don't know how many replays he saw of it as well, because also reminder, they didn't show the replay of it very much in the arena, which is where Sheldon Keefe was. Like, it's not like they didn't even show it in slow-mo. We didn't see it in slow-mo in the arena. We saw it once, replay from the first angle, which is like the first, not the weird slow-mo, like from across, right? We saw the like from across, like the one that everyone saw on the broadcast. That's the replay angle we saw. And we didn't see it in slow-mo. Right? So you have to think about like how much, you know what I mean? Like you have to think like how much did he see, right? So but so he probably, if he saw, oh, it was just a cross check, he probably would, but like because the head you get kind of iffy with the head contact for sure. And then there was more today after the Leafs practice. Sorry, I just got to scroll through all of the tweets from here we go. Here we go. This is from Ryan Reeves via Chris Johnson. Ryan Reeves on the Ridley Greig empty net slap shot. If you rewind to when I came into the league, he's probably still laying on the ice. I thought, and this is about Morgan Rielly's response, was appropriate. I don't see how a kid that young thinks it's appropriate to do something like that. Now, you also have to think about the fact that Ryan Reeves is 37 years old and has been in the league for a long time, and is also notoriously a goon/enforcer, whatever terminology you want to use. I do think that, like, he did say some other quotes that were a little bit, I was like raising my eyebrow, like, you sure you really shouldn't say that, especially in the way that today's day and age goes when it comes to head injuries and how those have been looked at, have been taken care of. This one's from Austin Matthews. It definitely deserved a reaction, but Morgan's not a malicious guy. Honest, which is a take I agree with.
Yeah, he put it very simply.
Yeah, it deserved a reaction, but Morgan's not a malicious, because he's not, like,
no.
But also as well, like, I don't know about, like, I'm saying, like, this is almost like a rhetorical question because this is like not a live show, but like I'm going to ask the questions to you. Say the roles were reversed. Say it's Nicholas Robertson and he, Leafs are up by 1 goal. There's about 5 seconds left on the clock, and he takes a slap shot 5 feet away from the empty net to win 5-3, put the Leafs up by 2 with 5 seconds left in the game. And Brady Tkachuk does the exact same thing. We would still say, hey, Nicky Bobby, don't do that.
Yeah,
don't take a slap shot at the net. But then you also have to think, like, all the Sens fans who are like being like, Morgan Rielly, oh my God, it's attempted manslaughter, blah, 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 which is what people are saying.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
I was like, okay, first of all, calm down.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I'm like, if Brady Tkachuk did the same thing to, I don't know, Matthew Nyes or Nicholas Robertson, who are similar players in terms of where they are in their careers to Greg, if he did that to one of those two guys,
Sorry, my husband's been really loud.
If he did it to one of those two guys, would Sens fans be just as mad about it? No. They'd probably be being like, oh, look at Brady Tkachuk for, standing up for, having players respect his team. Like, look at him go. Like, that's our captain, blah, 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 blah. Right? Because now I'm like, yes, okay, Brady Tkachuk and Morgan Rielly are two different players. Maybe a better one for me to say would have been like Thomas Chabot.
Yeah.
I think instead of Brady Tkachuk, because Brady Tkachuk is like just a known annoyance on the ice. But yeah, so like that's where I'm kind of standing, where it's like there's this huge tribalism. I think part of the reason is just because of the fact that it's Leafs and Sens. Like, it's Battle of Ontario. That's a huge rivalry within the league, and it always has been and will always will be. But yeah, so I
think just my biggest, like, what I have to say about this is just like what everyone has to remember is that actions have consequences.
Yeah.
Was the slap shot necessary? No, it happened. What was the consequence? Someone was going to do something about it because it was a dick move.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the thing where it's like Greg can't like sit there and like act surprised that Morgan Rielly went after him. He has the right to be surprised that that's what he got, but he can't sit there and be like, I'm surprised he came after me. No, you can't. Like, if you're in that situation, like, and if you're in that situation, like, you have to expect it. Like, I'm gonna switch sports to a sport that Marcie doesn't watch, and then make reference to something she has no idea what I'm talking about. But for I think we maybe have a huge I don't know about if we have a huge crossover in listeners of baseball fans, specifically Toronto Blue Jays fans, where take you back to 2015, which is like 9 years ago. Holy crap. Yeah.
No.
Take you back to 2015. We got, picture this. It is the Leafs, not the Leafs. It's the Toronto Blue Jays' first time in the playoffs since 1993 when they won the World Series. It is the ALDS. The winner, a game 5. Series is tied. Winner takes all sort of game against the Toronto Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers. It is in Toronto. Setting the scene. 7th inning, top of the 7th. There is an error on the play and a throwback to home plate by Russell Martin that brings in a run for the Texas Rangers to put them in the lead. Chaos breaks out. People are throwing beer cans onto the field. They have to calm everyone down. It gets crazy. By the way, this inning lasts 30 minutes. You can go watch the entirety of the 7th inning of this game on YouTube. MLB posted the entire inning. It's like over 30 minutes long.
Oh my God.
For those who don't know. But then bottom of the inning, there is 3 errors made by the Texas Rangers to load the bases. Actually, no, not 3 errors, but there's 2 errors made to load the bases. There's run gets brought in. There's 2 runners on base. Jose Bautista, who was not drafted by the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays acquired him. He is like a cult hero. Kind of very much, I don't want to say John Tavares. You know what? It's like an Austin Matthews. Right? Star player, fan favorite. Everyone had his jersey. I have his jersey still as well. You see his jersey everywhere. Huge fan, like, everyone loves him.
Yeah.
He steps up for the face of the franchise, steps up to the plate, hits a home run, like a no-doubter home run out of the park for the Blue Jays to take the win. In his reaction to him winning this huge monumental home run for this team, that has not had even a sniff of the playoffs since they last won a World Series over 20 years prior, he throws his bat. And that bat flip sort of was the cog in the wheel to change the culture surrounding unwritten rules in baseball, because for the longest time, baseball was America's pastime. There's all these unwritten rules about respect. And Jose Bautista's bat flip, then, eventually one thing led to another. Blue Jays face the Texas Rangers in the regular season the next year. By the way, Blue Jays go on to win the game off of that home run. They win the series. Then they go on to lose to Kansas City. No, then they beat Cleveland and then lose to Kansas City. But go on. It's really exciting. Everyone dreams of having, everyone just thinks really nice, fond memories of the 2015 Blue Jays. Including myself. And then, so it's the next season, Leafs and Texas Rangers, not Leafs, Jays and Jays and Rangers. And it's May. Jose Bautista takes a bad slide into second. It's not the best slide. It's not an illegal slide. It's just not a great slide into second. Into Rougned Odor. Yes, that's his actual name. Rougned Odor. He takes offense to this slide and decides to punch Jose Bautista in the face.
Oh dear.
Because it's a culmination of bat flip to the bad slide to just emotions boil over. Punches Jose Bautista in the face.
Yikes.
Now, and why I told this nice long story about a sport that Marcie does not understand. And it's
Excuse me, I play softball.
True.
I think about I play for the third best university softball team in the country.
Oh my god.
Do not doubt me.
Here we go. He gets the suspension for a punch to the face in baseball, by the way. This isn't hockey. For a punch to the face for a slide into home plate, into second, was reduced from 8 games to 7. And now the league potentially, most likely tomorrow, will give Morgan Rielly 6.
Yeah.
For a cross check that similar situations where it was not intended to be head contact, but then rode up to be head contact based on just positioning by the other player, is somewhere in the range, like Elliot Friedman was talking about it today on 32 Thoughts, somewhere in the range of like it'd been like 1 to 3, I think maybe even 1 to 3 games. Right? Yeah. Do I think that's fair? No. Do I think 6 is fair? Absolutely not.
No. It's
it's
I lost
not
my
good.
train
I have a quote from Sheldon Keefe I can read if that helps you get your train of thought back.
Oh, hit me.
This is via Joshua Cloak. Sheldon Keefe on his reaction to Morgan Rielly getting an in-person hearing. There's history also of events that happen in Toronto with the Leafs that get more attention and more hype that tend to lead to something such as this. To that end, not surprised. Because I was seeing a lot of people who are saying, like, if this happened in any other market, it would slide under the radar. It would be 1 or 2 games and you'd be like, oh, that sucks. Whatever. It's the Leafs. Like, unfortunately, that's the thing. Like, people are like, the league revolves around the Leafs. Well, the league seems to revolve around the Leafs because you allow it to. Because you're like, anytime the Leafs do anything, you're like, oh my god, the Leafs, even if you're not a Leafs fan.
Yeah,
right?
It's like, everything comes back to the Leafs.
Yeah. And also as well, like, I think anytime a situation stirs up more discussion, I guess we can call it discourse, maybe as well as another way we could call it, on social media, Department of Player Safety and George Peros feels they have a need to come down harder on the player than is necessary. I don't know if you have this feeling as well, where it's like,
yeah.
there will be suspensions and stuff I will see the notification from I will see the tweet from the Department of Player Safety before I've seen a clip of what they're actually getting suspended for or a fined or whatever, right? Like, that's the thing where it's like, for this, I'm sure everyone has seen that clip about 7,000 times of Morgan Rielly cross-checking a guy, right? And I think also as well, like, the subtext in what Sheldon Keefe was saying, he was definitely referring to the Jason Spezza suspension, where it's Jason Spezza who at the time had played over 1,000 games without a suspension or a fine, gets suspended 6 games for what was it? Also a cross-check to the head, or was it? It was definitely head contact. Jason Spezza suspension. Again, should have these pulled up. 6 games for it was for a hit on Neil Pionk a couple seasons ago. Here we go. NHL.com. That 6-game suspension got reduced 4 games. It got reduced to 4 by Gary Bettman. Oh, here we go. It was for kneeing. Is what it was. For a knee-to-knee hit. There we go. Knee-to-knee hit. So not totally comparable, because it's not at all the same thing that they're, that Morgan Rielly would get suspended for. But, like, at the same time, like, I'm sitting here like, come on.
It's just like, it's just a bit shit for everyone involved.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day it is.
And like, I think, because I was having a lovely little scroll on Twitter.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you were on, I don't know if anyone was on Twitter Saturday night after the game. And even it spilled into Sunday morning. It was rough.
Yeah. Like, I woke up
It was
Sunday.
like a hellscape out there.
Yeah, I woke up Sunday.
It was still going on Sunday.
Yeah, I woke up.
Your morning scroll through Twitter.
Sunday,
yeah,
I was like,
as you
what's going on?
Your breakfast.
And everyone's still absolutely raging about it. And I'm sat there, and I'm like, can these people complaining and being like completely like blown out of proportion, can they just stop for literally 5 seconds and just think, this is a very emotionally charged game in a very competitive sport, in an incredibly competitive league. Of course, people are gonna get emotional, and of course they're gonna, make irrational decisions, because it's like, at the weekend, I played a game, and I was not happy, and it was like it was a game that didn't even matter, like.
Yeah, what? It's like a rec league field hockey game, right?
Yeah, like, we would have got nothing it, but I was still getting really annoyed. There were at least 5 times where I came this close to just smashing my stick into a billion pieces on the goalposts. And it's like, of course, like, even with games that don't matter, you're gonna get like annoyed and worked up, and you're gonna like do things that you look back and think, was it that deep? Not really. So it's like, for a game in a league as competitive as this, of course, do things that don't really make sense, that people are going to perceive as being dramatic. Like, it's a heated game, and it annoys me when people completely like disregard that, and they immediately just go in for Morgan Rielly's fucking send him to prison. And I'm like use one single brain cell to just think and like put it into the actual context of the game.
No, you're so right about that, because I think it's very different, like the reaction that fans were giving compared to the reaction that journalists were given compared to the reaction that former players were given is was all very different. Like fans, I could very easily spot out the fans who had never played a competitive sport a day in their life. Yeah. Not even just hockey, just a competitive sport in general. I can spot those fans out and be like, you don't get it. You've never been so hyped up on adrenaline after losing that you've done something you regret in hindsight, or you've gone over the extreme. Because like, okay, I grew up ski racing. I've been frustrated more than once. There's been many times where I've thought about snapping my poles in half because I've had a bad run or whatever, or I've messed up and I've ruined a race or whatever, right? Like I've been frustrated myself. And it's been times where it's been like out of my control. And it's like been things where it's like I can't control the situation and I've been pissed off and I've been frustrated, and it sits with you. And you get mad and, you know, okay. And then there's also the journalists who go about hockey with this holier than thou approach, where they think because they're journalists, you know, they can, you know, be above the players and be above everything and be like, this is my opinion. It's right. No matter what anyone else says or no matter what happened. Right?
Yeah.
And then you have the former players, and this is the big one where it was like the one that stood out to me. I don't know if you saw his tweet. Maybe I'll pull it up and I'll send it to you. Was Mark Mathot, former Ottawa Senator. If you ever see him, I don't know if you ever see him on your timeline.
I don't know.
Mark. I see him all the time on my timeline. Maybe because he's like an Ottawa guy. I think he still lives in Ottawa. He usually is very, very anti-Leafs. He's very, very pro Ottawa Senators because that's the team he used to play for in the league, obviously. Yeah. And he even himself was like, he said he thinks Morgan Rielly should get suspended, but he appreciates the reaction from Morgan Rielly because what Really Great did warranted a reaction from Morgan Rielly. Was the reaction that Morgan Rielly gave appropriate? No, but he should still get suspended. And then he finished off the tweet with, this could be the little spark in the Battle of Ontario needed, just my opinion. Which is true. Like, I think for sure, like, part of the reason, and I think I was saying this, like, in the replies with someone, like, Saturday late night or something, where it was like, the Leafs just need to hate teams as much as other teams hate them. Right?
Yeah.
Like, the Leafs, I don't know what it is. I don't want to call them, like, Mr. Nice Guys or whatever. They just don't hate teams anymore.
No.
Like
they're just... Like, they go into games being like, oh, yeah, this team hates us. Okay, cool. And it's like...
And it's every team, because every team hates the Leafs.
And it's like, I was sat there and, like, I was thinking about, like, after it all happened. And I was just like, you know what? Was Morgan Rielly's reaction appropriate to the bigger picture? No, but you know what? At least he cared enough to actually do something about it, because no one else did. I can guarantee if it wasn't Morgan Rielly who was the closest player, nothing would have happened.
Nothing would have happened. Like, you have to look at the guys.
Like, heads down.
Whatever. Gone into the dressing room, been like, all right, boys, let's buckle in for a whatever hour-long flight back to Toronto. I don't know if they fly into Toronto or if they bus in or if they take the train or whatever. I still find it hilarious. There's this one story that got told on Spit and Chicklets by by Jack Eichel. I think it was Jack Eichel. It was telling a story about Phil Kessel, where apparently teams will take a train between Ottawa and Montreal. I can't imagine the Leafs having to do the nightmare, like 5:45 in the actually I don't think it's 5:40, but like the nightmare train on Via Rail that I have to do every time I go home, where it takes, always it's behind schedule, no matter how on time you think you're going to be. You're always at least 10 minutes late to arrival, and who would be the guy who sits beside the emergency exit row who would have to get the talk of like, have you taken the train before? Do you know how to use the hammer to break the glass in case of emergency? Who would be that guy who would sit in that row in the back of the train? My roommate. But yeah, so just like anyways, that's the thing where it's like, at least there was a reaction.
Yeah, like, was it the best reaction? No, but it was still more than anyone else on the team would have done. So you know what? Good for him on that.
Yeah. It shows he cares. And I think Morgan Rielly very deeply cares about this team. He's the longest serving Leaf. He's the only player on this team who played in 2013 in that series against Boston. So we will talk about if the Leafs are screwed, going based on the assumption that Morgan Rielly will get 6 games. But we do have to take, we're going to take just a quick break. I have to take my laundry off the drying rack because my roommate texted. All right, we're back from our little pause. I had to check out my laundry, but okay, we're going to talk about if the Leafs are screwed. Because Morgan Rielly potentially could be out for 6 games. I think that's what a lot of people are saying the assumption are. I saw someone say 20 games. I was like, are you kidding? He's not hurt. Ridley Krieg was at practice today for the Ottawa Senators to provide, like, he's not injured. Like, I get, yes, we have to focus more on, like, hey, let's protect our players' heads and limit head injuries.
Yeah.
Right? You also have to remember that this is Gary Bettman's NHL, Gary Bettman is a person who does not believe that the NHL, playing in the NHL, could potentially lead to CTE. So
you could have ended that with full stop.
Yeah.
And it made just as much sense.
Right? But not that Gary Bettman is in charge of suspensions and handing out suspensions. That falls on the Department of Player Safety, which is George Parros. But like, still, you have to think Gary Bettman surrounds himself with like-minded people when it comes to those positions of power within the NHL. So we're going to go based on the assumption that, and we're also going to use then again the David Perron suspension as precedent, 6 games. Are the Leafs screwed? On paper, when you look at the lines today that they had in practice for their defense, yes. Yes. Do you want to read out the lines? Do you have them pulled up? Do you want to read them out? I don't know if you have them pulled out in front of you, the defensive lines that were at practice today or not.
No, I don't.
They're somewhere in our DMs. I just can't find them.
Oh my god, we send so many things to each other.
I know, that's the thing. I'm like scrolling up high for them.
When was it?
It's like definitely, we definitely sent them too. Like, that's the thing where I was like, oh, here we go. I have them.
Yeah.
I can send them. Did you find them? Here. There you go. I resent it right down to the bottom.
Perfect. Oh my god, why is... One sec, my phone's having a meltdown. And it's just not phoning.
I could have read them out.
Yeah.
It's fine. Got him?
Oh god.
Read them out. This is via David Alter.
So, David Alter, the love of my life. supplier of Joseph Wall updates.
Oh, we loved David Alter. He's always on it with the Joseph Wall updates.
Oh, yeah. So we have Brody Lilligren, Benoit McCabe, and Legislature.
Yeah, so both Mark Giordano and David Camp for back at practice today. But yeah, so yeah, so both Mark Giordano and David Camp were back at practice today as well. And then also so was Joseph Woll. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about Joseph Woll a little bit later. But yeah, but this made me remember the last time the Leafs were without Morgan Rielly for a considerable amount of time in the season, which is when he got hurt last season, and our entire decor was resting on the shoulders of Mark Giordano in a dream and some duct tape. So last season, Morgan Rielly missed 15 games due to injury. The Leafs in that stretch went 12-2-1. They lost 3 times. One of them was in overtime. Now, and they were also, like, Eric Shelgren was playing a couple of games in net for them. Matt Murray was a couple games in net for them. Samsonov, I think, also, like, that was the point where, like, it overlapped where Samsonov, I think, was a hurt for a little bit, or, like, was missing a couple of games. The defense as well in that span, I took a look through and I went through a couple of the lines and stuff for those games. The defenseman that we were playing was Mark Giordano, Justin Hall, Mac Hollowell. Remember Cheddar? Mac Hollowell.
No, Timothy Lilligren. Made me so sad. I miss him. I was devastated. Done.
Timothy Lilligren, Rasmus Sandin, Victor Mete, and Jordy Ben. Those were the defensemen that we had at the time, and the Leafs still went 12-2-1 for 15 games. And you want to know
if we don't? Oh my god,
you want to know who the most popular top pairing was? Because I went through. Shout out to David Alter, because I was just using his when he tweets out the lines for the games and stuff. That's what I was using to check the lines. The top pair for a majority of those games was Mark Giordano and Justin Hall. Which is crazy. I think about, because I think as well, like, that was also around the time where Rasmus Sandin was getting some looks at top pair as well, but like this also overlapped where, like, Sheldon Keefe was trying Dennis Malgin as, like, his, like, second line left winger, because that second line left winger was a massive hole on the Leafs lineup last year, where it was like, who are we gonna play there? I don't know. Why don't we throw Dennis Malgin in, who I'm pretty sure is he playing in Europe this year? I think he is.
Yes.
Yeah, currently for Switzerland. Hockey DB. Actually, yeah, he's playing for Zurich this season in Swiss A League.
Viking.
But yeah, so, like, that's the sort of crazy, like, that's the thing where it's like, yeah, like, Leafs. So do I think that the Leafs are totally royally screwed without Morgan Rielly? Potentially, because he is their best performing defenseman this season. He also was their best performing defenseman last year. And there was a time where, like, also note whose name I did not say. TJ Brody. Didn't play a lot of games in that span. Like, but yeah, if anyone really wants to doubt the Leafs, like, I'm not saying be overly optimistic about the Leafs and about, going like, like, oh, let's, whatever. They're not going to do anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not expecting them to go 6-0 in the next 6 games or whatever the suspension is, right? Like, you do have to look at this objectively. But also as well, like, I don't think we like people are going into this being like, they're going to lose the next 6 games in a row. I don't think that's going to happen. You have to look at their opponents that they have coming up next for the next 6 games. It is St. Louis, Philadelphia, Anaheim, all at home. Then they go on the road to play St. Louis. And then it is Arizona, Vegas. Those are their next 6 games.
I think people also have to consider the fact that it is very, very likely that Joseph Woll will be back at some point during
in those 6 games, yeah.
So you have to consider the fact that we'll be back and the impact that that's going to have.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a boost to your goaltending over Martin Jones. Maybe not Samsonov. Again, like, we don't know what who the Joseph Woll we're going to get back is going to be, but yeah, for sure.
Like, even having him back is going to boost the confidence that they have in the goaltending, where that means that they can just go out and play foldable.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we have to try really hard because our starting goalie earlier this season is not here.
Yeah. Also, as well, like, you also have to think about like how the Leafs have responded to suspensions in the past. Like, think about how they played when they lost Michael Bunting, right? To suspension in the playoffs. Think about how they played when Austin Matthews. Actually, I actually don't know if the Leafs won the 2 games that Austin Matthews missed due to suspension. I don't know. That was like a couple of seasons ago. I just have to like match them. 2 games, March 2022. Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna pull them up and then. But yeah, so like you have to think about the fact that like the Leafs almost play better when they're the underdogs in a situation.
Yeah. Definitely.
Which is like not the best
in
thing.
Games that they should win.
Oh yeah, absolutely in games that they should win. Also as well, oh my, I don't understand this team. The next 2 games, just also for reference, in the 2 games that the Leafs played without Austin Matthews, because he got suspended for cross-checking Rasmus Dahlin, they won both of those games. Yeah, in which, oh my god, this oh god.
I'm slightly afraid.
I just want to look up how these lines were worked out. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up the one where they won. They shut out Dallas, because I think that's just more fun to look at.
Oh yeah.
Would have been March 15th. There we go. Okay. The Leafs lines during the first game that Austin Matthews got suspended in 2020. I just want to show you just like how crazy this team is, and the fact where it's like when a key player on their team gets suspended, they find a way to win, because why not? Even though they've been losing before that, because like why not? Yeah. This was their lines against the Dallas Stars in a game that they won 4-0. And now, before you say, weren't the Dallas Stars bad that season? They, at this point in the season, in March, they were a 32-win team. So, yeah. Bunting, Tavares, Marner. Mind you, also, this is 2 seasons ago. So think about that when I name off these. Like, this is like 2 seasons ago for some of these. Bunting, Tavares, Marner. 2 seasons ago, Nicholas Robertson. Kerfoot, Nylander. Mikheyev, Kampf, Engvall. That line's not getting anything done. Clifford, Spezza, Kaze.
Oh, Lord.
Those bottom 2 lines are not getting anything done. And, oh, God, they all played over 11 minutes.
Oh, my God. What was happening over
Jason
there?
Spezza had the least amount of ice time for the Leafs that game with 11 minutes and 5 seconds. Like I said, the Leafs, you could say all you want about the Leafs are going to lose because they don't have Morgan Rielly. He's their best defenseman, blah, 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 blah. Look at this. And here's proof that, yes, they can win games.
Yeah.
Because also, you want to know who was in net that game?
Oh, God.
Eric motherfucking Shellgren. Against the Dallas Stars that had Jake Ottinger in net, Tyler Seguin, Joe Pavelski, John Klingberg when he actually could play, Rupert Hintz,
this team,
Jamie Benn, Jason Robertson. Did I say Jason Robertson? Well, yeah. So when I like, don't like. If you spend your life trying to understand how this team works, how the Toronto Maple Leafs operate, and you try and say that they are predictable in the ways that surprise you.
Yeah. Gee. I'm still trying to wrap my head around those lines.
Oh, yeah. And this also was, like, after the trade deadline. This was supposed to be the team that was going to, like, carry us into the playoffs.
Oh, God. No, when you were reading those lines, I absolutely...
I almost wish we did video for this. I wish we did video for the show just so we could get your reaction. The Ryan O'Reilly trade that happened while I was on vacation.
I'm just like, I've experienced so many emotions in the last 3 minutes. Yeah, what did happen to our lines?
I'm like this tempted just to put up that the video for that one clip of me reading out those lines. Because your face, best thing in my entire life.
Oh, God.
But yeah, so like we could sit here and we could predict how the Leafs are going to play without Morgan Rielly all we want, but also at the same time, like odds are they will drop the game against St. Louis because it's going to be at home. Kasperi Kapanen's going to score a goal because why not? They're going to win against Philadelphia. They're going to have a way too close for comfort game against Anaheim. Lose. No, sorry, but they're going to win against Anaheim. Win against St. Louis because that's the game Joseph Woll is going to be back. We're manifesting here.
Yes.
Lose to Arizona where we get a Travis Dermott and Alexander Kerfoot revenge goals. Or they're going to, or it's going to be a Travis Dermott assist on an Alexander Kerfoot goal. Or it's going to go to a shootout and Kerfoot's going to score the shootout winner. I can keep going about how this could go.
Alternatively, we get a Travis on Alex Kerfoot's 3rd goal of the night.
And then they're going to win against Vegas, and then Morgan Rielly's going to come back, and then they're going to drop the game at Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds about right.
And then win at home against Vegas and Arizona, and that's how they're going to end their month of February. Going into the trade deadline, which is like a week later. I can sit here and honestly, that's the thing. Do I think the Leafs are going to make moves? I'm very adamant in saying that I don't like if the Leafs are going to make moves at the deadline, it is going to be for rostered players. I would be shocked if we see Brad Treliving trade either a prospect or trade a pick away.
Yeah.
If he does it for a rental, I will walk my ass down to Scotiabank Arena, find his office, and kick the door down.
I win. No, in fact, I won't swim over. I will pay for flights over. And I will sit that man down and I will have words.
So, but yeah, so like we were saying though, Joseph Woll was also participated in practice today as a main goalie, so that means he participated in the majority of the practice to replace Martin Jones. This was I don't know how much truth this holds, but this was a Lance Hornby tweet where he said Joseph Woll could be expected to return to play in a game on February 19th, which if you are a long time, if you're a listener, if you've listened to any of the past 4 episodes of the show, we've mentioned this date. At St. Louis, his hometown. So it'd be his hometown game, would be his first game back from injury or sooner.
Please.
We are manifesting this so hard. But that's the thing, if Joseph Woll comes back, and you have him going into that Arizona Vegas road trip, I get it's a little bit more of a Arizona Vegas road trip because you do get St. Louis and Colorado on either end of those games, but the big thing about it is going to be that it's Arizona and Vegas. That's going to be the killer for these guys. But if you do get Joseph Woll for that, and you have the ability to then use him in a back-to-back scenario, which the Leafs do have a back-to-back in 2 weeks when they're, in Arizona and Vegas, that's huge. Because we saw how Martin Jones was, and Martin Jones, okay, night in, night out is not going to be the guy who can win you games. He can give you a chance, and he can win you a game on a good night, because we saw that in California. But then, you think, okay, but Joseph Woll, and we saw this really early in the season from him as well, he can be the guy to win you games. Yeah. And so, and I think now, same with how we've been seeing Samsonov when he's come back. So I do think that getting Joseph Woll back for that game in St. Louis is the best case scenario. Now, does it mean that then we're going to have to look at how the Leafs are there? I was just going to say then it's going to be interesting how the Leafs deal with having 3 goalies and what they're going to decide to do with Martin Jones, if they're going to decide to keep him up or put him on waivers and chance someone grabbing him.
I don't even want to think about that right now.
Package him up in a trade deal. Who knows? Everyone's desperate for a goalie right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue what you were going to say.
I just think personally that I'm using my little sprinkle of delusion that is always with me. Joseph Woll posting on Instagram last night was his little cryptic Taylor Swift-esque comeback post. He's dropping hints. I'm actually delusional. This is his. He was like, yeah, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. You're gonna see me soon. And yeah, I literally put in my notes, oh, how I love your cryptic ass. He could just have been posting because he misses playing. But still, I'm making an active choice to be delusional.
I think, honestly, if we were to have a catchphrase for this show, it would probably be delusional. That's the motto here.
Yeah.
From the 4th line is be delusional, because if you are delusional enough, your 4th line players can be the guys that make or break games. One more hockey thing as well that we have. So San Jose Sharks forward and all-star Tomas Hertl announced, and the team as well announced, that he will undergo knee surgery to clean out loose cartilage on his left knee.
Ouch.
Did your knee also hurt when you read that tweet too? Because mine
My
did.
knee felt like it exploded.
Yeah. He will miss a minimum of several weeks, according to his statement put out by the team. The statement also said that it was not affecting his play or ability to participate in the All-Star game. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. So unfortunate. I mean, he, considering he was an All-Star for the Sharks, it does mean that he was playing well for them. That's kind of what the Sharks. I mean, Macklin Celebrini, I really do hope you love the color teal and living in San Jose. I've heard it's a very nice. I hope you like the beach. He's from what, Vancouver? Is he? I didn't even know this. I'm Canadian. I feel like this is my real Macklin Celebrini. Where are you from, buddy? Oh yeah, you are from North Vancouver. So you do like the beach. You like you'll be in the same time zone as your parents for most of the year, so pretty good.
It works.
Hope you like teal. It's a beautiful color. I do think that the San Jose Sharks have some really nice jerseys. They're really nice jerseys. But yeah, so it's just unfortunate, but like I think from the sound of it, it sounded like a surgery that, is more for his own comfort than his ability to play hockey, which at the end of the day, you know what? If this is a season for the Sharks for, a guy like Tomas Hertl to miss a couple weeks during the season, I say go for it.
Yeah.
You know what? Why not?
Might as well.
Not? Might as well. Yeah. Also as well, we're a hockey podcast, but of course, the Super Bowl happened yesterday. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift for winning the Super Bowl. Way to go. Yeah. It was a very exciting game. I got way too invested in it considering I did not care and I do not watch football on a regular basis. That is the one game a year that I will watch of NFL football. I can't say football, I can't say that's the one game a year that I do watch because it's not. I watch at least one other one, which is my university's homecoming game because I'm very competitive. But yeah, the reason why we're pointing it out, though, besides just talking about how the Leafs really should call up Usher because they're going to need more defense if Morgan Rielly gets suspended for 6 games. And he was on rollerblades actually quite well during his halftime performance. There was actually quite a few NHLers at the Super Bowl. Just to list off a few, there's Henrik Lundqvist. Love that. Cole Caulfield. Okay, Cole. Phil Kessel. Someone sign him, please.
Leafs legend.
For my sanity, please someone sign Leafs legend Phil Kessel. I can't keep watching those compilations on YouTube where it's just people telling all their Phil Kessel stories with incredible Phil Kessel impressions.
I have
anyone who's ever played on a team with Phil Kessel, I think, has a really great Phil Kessel impression. Jack Eichel's underratedly good.
Spot on. I have 3 words. Russell. Bring him home.
Yeah, but Jack Eichel also was at the game, which makes sense. Game was in Vegas. Plays for the Vegas Golden Knights. But yeah, those are the ones we spotted who were at the game. I think that was cool. Anyways, enjoying some good old football. It was really funny. Cole Caulfield. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but noted Swiftie Cole Caulfield. His seats were directly underneath the box that Jason Kelce, ergo Taylor Swift, were in, which I think is so funny.
absolutely insufferable, and I love him for it.
He is me.
Yeah, no, I would do the same.
I had to hold myself back from taking my phone when I was at the Leafs game and using my camera to zoom in on the press box because I could see it from my seats to see if I could spot Joseph Woll there.
Oh, you're so real for that.
I was like, no. First of all, I've got Simon sitting beside me who's gonna be like, what are you doing, you crazy person?
Don't pretend Simon would understand.
And then I also had some really nice people sitting on the other side of me who we were like high-fiving after every Leafs goal and everything. I made friends very easily. We were talking and everything, and I'm so good at making friends at hockey games. Anyways, it was really cute though, because when we were down in front of the glass for warm-ups, there was a kid there who was 8, who it was his first ever NHL game. And it was really sweet. And he had a sign and everything made up. And then it also at the same time was not to say that this is like not cute, but he was like 61 from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and it was his first ever like NHL game as well, and he was a Leafs fan. And then the Leafs go and lose it in front of them.
How dare they?
Oh, I know, eh? But yeah, so I think that's where we're gonna end it. I think we have a pretty nice long show here this week.
Oh my god. I have one last thing. From
Go on.
Practice today. We had Big Mitch, Little Mitch.
The way that's not even what David Alter was trying to like show with that video. He was trying to show Ryan Reeves doing some sort of like siren imitation, but it was like my brain didn't know what to focus on because it was like there was like Big Mitch, Little Mitch, and then there was Joseph Woll, and then there was Bobby McMahon, and then there was Ryan Reeves making a siren noise, and my brain felt overloaded. I was like, oh my god, so much going on in there. But yeah, that was a really cute video.
It was so
maybe
cute.
we'll link it. I think we can link it in the show notes for those who haven't seen it. But if you probably have seen it if you exist on the same side of Leafs Twitter as we do, because it was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We'll definitely link it though in the show notes. But yeah, with that there, is that all we've got for today? Wow. Leafs play tomorrow against St. Louis back at home. We'll see for how many games the Leafs will be without Morgan Rielly. It's guaranteed he's going to get a suspension. We know that. It's just a question of how many games. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll definitely, it definitely will be interesting for sure. But yeah. With that being said, thank you for listening. You can follow the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line, and that's fourth with the number 4. You can follow the show anywhere. Not follow the show. Yeah, you can follow it, but you can also find the show anywhere you get your podcasts. We're working on getting all of our episodes up to YouTube slowly. It's getting there. It's not, if you do want to get the show as soon as it comes out, definitely recommend following us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Podcasts, not Apple Music, but Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. I think we're also one other place, and I can't remember off the top. No, we're not on Google though, but we'll get there. But yeah, you find us there. If you find us for free on most of those places actually as well. So you can follow me and Marcie on Twitter at 60 Leafs for Marcie, at PearB1 for myself, and we will see you maybe on Thursday. We didn't really talk about scheduling. There may or may not be an episode on Thursday. It is just a very busy weekend going into Family Day weekend for us. If we don't see you on Thursday or sometime in the next back half of this week. We will see you actually on Tuesday, because there will be no Monday episode because it's Family Day, which is a holiday in Canada. So like dad holiday. So, but we will see you
at some point
at some point in the next week.
Yeah,
actually over a week if we don't get an episode out before next Tuesday. But again, thank you so much for listening, and that is all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.